What's up, everybody? I'm going to start back at the beginning here, and I'm going to throw out a crazy spiracy that doesn't matter how seasoned you are in this research game. I'm sure I'm going to offend some people, and they're going to just walk away. Might take a second, but here it is. So I think there was a time, probably about 3 to 5,000 years ago, when these beings that we call the gods lived among mankind. You roll into town, ask where to find Zeus, they're going to say, big house on the hill, you can't miss it. But you better have a good reason for going up there or he's going to zap you. And by the way, you see that big retaining wall all around this? Reminds me of the Temple Mount. Well, I bet that is all hollowed and tunneled out. And that's where Zeus's bedroom and living room is. And then the big, huge temple up top is where they conduct court and have the priests burnt offering cook their meals, and they perform their godly duties here on earth. And all of the ancient cities were founded and lorded over by one particular god. I don't know, maybe this was Zeus's summer home because I think Athens was Athena's city. Baalbek was Baal's city. But getting back to the point, all these gods lived among mankind, and the priests took care of the gods, served as intermediaries between them and the rest of the city. Well, eventually all the gods left. Not sure where they went. They could all just be taking a nap right now, which is a thought. And it seems like they appointed certain humans to rule over everybody in their absence. This is the royal bloodlines. But you've still got the priest class, and I'm sure they learned a trick or two from the gods being around them. And they've been respected and feared by the population for a long time. But I'll tell you, I doubt that there were too many statues of priests while the gods were still around. I did a video a little while back on cargo cults, and it didn't get that many views, but it was one of the most revealing videos I've ever done. It's like watching the ancient past in real time. So in World War II, American forces were scouting Pacific Islands as they were leapfrogging their way over to Japan. The first scout to show up to the natives was John from America. He'd come to be known as John From. But he tells all these islanders that, well, something you've never seen before is about to come this way. And boom, the U.S. military shows up with big, huge ships, getting dozers out and dozing off landing strips. Then giant metal birds show up and start landing there, and troops get out and start doing all these marching drills. And it had to have been quite the scene for an islander. I mean, these guys must be the warriors of the gods. And then anytime they needed anything, a plane would fly over and do airdrops. They even had refrigerators and ice cream. All of this magical cargo had to have been coming from the gods. I mean, I just think about the technology involved in an ink pen. I mean, things we take for granted, plastic and, all these little things. They have no concept of how that was made. And then a 50 cal is Zeus's thunderbolt. But then all of these great men pack it up and leave. Crap, dude, we don't get any more ice cream. Well, it didn't take very long before one of the guys in the tribe had a dream and got a visit from John From. And now he has a direct connection to the gods through the spirit of John From. And the spirit of John From tells him, well, if you build it, they will come. If you do like we did and you build these big radio dishes and these airplanes and you get out there and do all of these marching drills like we did, well, then the gods will favor you and send back the sweet cargo. So these came to be known as cargo cults. They did all this because they lived in a magical time when all this cool stuff just dropped out of the sky. But it didn't take very long for a priestly class to arise out of this. And then they know the will of the gods, therefore they have a special place in the society and some authority. Well, now let's go back to our ancient past and my crazy out there theory. And this pretty much works whether there were actually gods here or if it was just something invented by this priestly class. Well, you kind of got the ignorant masses out there, which is a superstitious bunch as well. And the priests feed into that. And they say, well, if you want to do right by the gods and have them return, or if you want to live well in the afterlife, you got to do what we're telling you here. One of the tricks of the ancient priests and even the Catholics all the way up until the Middle Ages is telling people if they want their relatives to have a good afterlife, well, you have to make contributions to the temple. You have to bring food offerings, drink offerings, My favorite is the wave offering in the Bible, where they take bread and they wave it towards whatever's representing what Yahweh at that time, and then the priest eat it. And the same thing with the meat. When the gods were here, they actually burned the animal so that the god could breathe it in through smoke, apparently. But then after they left, it became sacrifice the animal to the gods, and then the priests eat it. But the priests became the gatekeepers between the people and the afterlife. And nobody wanted to get on the bad side of the priest because, who knows what they know? What all could they do to you? And of course, the priest played into that. But here's my crazy out there theory. What if the priest really didn't have any special insights, no special powers, and never had any power to actually be able to do anything to you unless they convinced somebody to do it? So essentially, these priests, or in modern times, these rich, powerful families, don't have anything special at all. They just have influence over people. They're just people with a whole lot of money, and they love it when the superstitious masses out there attribute godlike powers to them. Just wanted to point out that that is a possibility. No lost ancient technologies, no earthquake machines, and apparently a memory zapper, no stone cutting lasers. Just people with a lot of money. They own a lot of industry, but there's not very many of them, and there's a whole lot of us. So they really couldn't get rid of all of us if they tried, but I don't think they want to. They still want their servants. They just want a lot less of us. So, they can't release a biological, or they can't just atomic blast everything and pollute the whole earth, which I got to talk about that with y'all here in a little bit. If you've ever seen Wolves of Chernobyl, you'll know where I'm going with that. But what if these 1%ers don't have anything special at all? They just have taken over all the natural resources, set up a system of debt slavery, and have built themselves a fine little Prop-G machine. But other than that, if they can't influence the masses to do their bidding, then they've really got no recourse, do they? I mean, sure, they've got militaries around the world, but even with that, you have to have the proper motivation to get the men in the boots to do what you want. But if that were the case, and I were one of them, man, I would love it when people are out there talking about, we have alien technology, earthquake machines, enough nuclears to end the world 10 times over, HAARP. Yep, that's right, minions. We control everything. Not a raindrop falls from the sky without my saying so. That's what I'd do. Just saying. So the reason I'm bringing this up is everything just seemed to change in the last month. Their Prop-G machine has just absolutely broken. Even normies are jumping ship. Now, I don't know if they've seen the light, but they know they're being BS'd. And they really don't appear to have any action of recourse here. It would appear they're trying to start Dub Trey, but is that just to burn the boats, or is that so they can try to enact martial law and not have to hand over the reins? But that's still something that has to be approved by the public somewhat. If you push too far, then the pitchforks come out. So I don't know. We seem to either be in the calm before the storm, or it was a paper tiger the whole time. I mean, sure, they can crash the economic system, but we're kind of at a point here where people might just say, okay, end the Fed, let's do something else. That's a great idea. So I just wanted to point out that it's a possibility that it's nothing but a bunch of rich people, and they love it when people think they have godlike powers. And look, I know what the spider webs in the sky are, but that all goes back to, hey, they got to live here too. But I did want to point out that that is a possibility, and I wasn't kidding. Some people will be very mad that I suggested that it's just some rich people. Really, what I personally think is it's just some rich people, but they're in contact with some spirit beings. And yeah, they've got some cool toys and some tech we don't know about, but other than some machines of absolute destruction, or more importantly, technology that will heal you of anything you might come across, or make you live longer, or even allow you to switch bodies or control reincarnation, what else is there out there? What other super secret technology could they have that really makes a big difference? Without their influence over other people, they've really got nothing going on. Sure, they control all the resources, but it takes us to keep that machine going. So if they want to live the lifestyle that they're living, they got to keep that thing pretty well oiled. But right now it's looking like their whole you'll own nothing and be happy just got a big monkey wrench thrown in it. And they've really lost their influence over people. So hopefully it was just a paper tiger with a really loud Propa G machine and not the calm before the storm. But I guess we'll see. Static out.